Hello, friends. How are you? Happy Wednesday. Some of you, first day of school. If you live in Lincoln, Nebraska, or maybe some surrounding areas, today is the kids' first day of school, except for one of mine. Middle school starts a day later. So, I don't have four, and I'm not. There are no secrets. I have three kids, and two of the three headed off to school this morning. So that was a big deal, you guys. And my middle daughter, my only daughter, it's her first day of elementary school, which is like, ah. And my baby is fourth grade, so he only has one more year. So I really like to sandwich my kids. 3 kids, 3 years. Anybody else? Yeah. You all were smart. You didn't decide to do that. I don't maybe recommend it, although it has been joyful to have them all so close together. But anyway, this is going to be a practice to help with anxiety. Doesn't that sound like a good idea? Okay, here we go. Today, for your practice, what would be helpful is a blanket, a strap, and 1 or 2 blocks. And last time I did a practice, I did talk about if you are practicing at home, it's so worth it to buy these props. You know, they don't cost a ton. A blanket, you could get away with like any kind of blanket, but the blocks and the strap are so helpful. And I don't advertise for any of it. I can recommend, but there's good blocks, right? We read the reviews. That's how we make most of our decisions. So here we go. I'm going to turn us around. All right. So if you are just hopping on, hopefully everybody can hear me. In the beginning, when I was still trying to figure this out, I always had to make sure, but you all will tell me, right? Like, if you can't hear me, you're going to say something. So a blanket and a strap and 2 blocks will be very useful for this practice. This practice, as I said, is going to be about helping with anxiety. Does anybody ever feel anxious? And, anxiety can be a very, very debilitating disease. I feel like it can be categorized as dis-ease in the sense of it's a dis-ease, right? When you break down the word dis-ease, it's dis-ease in the body. It's lack of ease in the body. And there's a great book, Yoga as Medicine, that I read, and I always come back to it many, 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 many years ago. I'm not remembering the author off the top of my head, but I can tag it. And it goes through all different ailments, everything from anxiety, depression, cancer, asthma, back pain, and the list goes on, arthritis. And it has a chapter on all these different things and how yoga can be medicine for those different things. And since obviously this is a healing practice, I'm going to bring in some of those things that it shared to do that can really help with anxiety. So we're going to start laying down. For me, this was a little bit of an anxious morning. I don't know that I'm making the right decision, and we don't need to get into any debates here or anything like that, but sending my kids off to school, but it makes me feel anxious. I don't know that it's the right thing. I don't know if it's the right thing that school's open. Like, there's so many things, and then you hear the counter side that schools aren't opening, and then people are mad about that. So it's just, here's the thing. I think that so much of our life, it's about supporting yourself in whatever decision that you make at any point. And so much of our anxiety and anxiousness can come because of unknown and uncertainty. And the brain's job, you have to remember, there is a part of our brain that is so old, and its job is to keep us safe. And so its job is to think about every worst case scenario and possible fears that could come. And there's a usefulness to that, but it also can become not useful, right, at certain times. And I think we can discern which ones are which. So we're going to use the yoga practice, which can be one of the most powerful practices, I feel like, to really help. And it's the breath that's really going to help us there. And also meditation can be really helpful. So at the end, I'm going to include about a 10-minute meditation at the end of this practice. So I'll tag that later. Yay! Who likes meditation? all of you. It's new. It can be new, right? So what I want you to do is if you have a block or you have a blanket, either one. I'm going to take my blanket. I want you to take your blanket and I want you to actually lay it on your abdomen. And you could even take, like I have cork blocks, so they're a little bit weighted, which is kind of nice. I'm going to even just stack that on top. So when we get anxious, a lot of the breath is up in the chest. And we want to help the whole respiratory system start to work a little bit more efficiently so that it can affect your nervous system more optimally. So we want to get into deep diaphragmatic breathing. But if we're in a moment, we're having a moment. So we used to say when the kids are little, are you having a moment? Do you need a minute? But if you're having a moment, it can be difficult to get right into that. So all I want you to do, and if you're feeling anxious right now, is just notice your breathing. You don't have to change it. You don't have to do anything to it. Just watch your breath. So it's one of the only, autonomic things that we have going in our system that we actually, when we want to, we can shift the control of it, right, is our breathing. We don't get to shift how fast our stomach digests, and we don't get to shift how effectively our kidneys work or different things like that, although we can do things to help, but we can't, in a moment, automatically control it like we can with the breath. Now, if you're feeling like you've got a good connection to the breath, I want you to start deepening the breath. So when you inhale, you can actually feel your abdomen lifting, elevating your block or your blanket. And if you don't have any props, just put a hand on your belly. And when you exhale, you feel the props dropping towards you, towards the earth. Now, if we tend to be anxious, one of the things we want to emphasize is a longer exhale. And so what I want you to do is don't worry so much for a moment about the inhale. But when you exhale, I want you to try to empty out your breath as much as you can. And when you think it's empty, I want you to see if you can empty it like a little bit more. And when it's empty, I want you to see if you can go a little more. And then that'll have you sweep in a big inhale. Yes, did you feel that difference? So do it again. So exhale to the point that you think you're empty. You don't have to really stop, but just kind of keep pushing out breath 2 more times. And you might feel a little jerkiness there. And then big inhale. Do it again. Exhale, exhale, exhale. When you think it's empty, try to exhale a little more. And a little more. And then a big inhale. Good. Now take one hand, bring it over the center of your heart. So in yoga, the heart space is the center of the chest. So it's not on the typical heart on the left, it's right in the center of the chest. And then my props, I'm going to just slide my hand under my blanket there so I can get it on the abdomen. And I want you to take a moment and set an intention. In one of our previous classes, I used the quote by Rumi, where he says, "Why do you stay in prison when the door is wide open?" We all have a prison in some shape, in some form. And for some of us, it's our tendency, our prison toward anxiety. Maybe it's perfectionism, always wanting things to be perfect. Maybe we have a tendency excuse me, to use food to self-soothe. Maybe we have a prison in a relationship or in how we see ourselves, our own self-worth. And all of these things can create a layer of anxiety or a layer of depression. And yet Rumi says the door is wide open. So we come to this mat to help us remind us that the door is open. And not only is it open, but we have a key. So if at any point something happens, we can always open it back up. Good. So go ahead, stretch the arms over your head. Take a big breath. The blanket and prop can still stay there if it's there. Good. Now, if you have a block there, I want you to take it out. If you have a blanket there, you can still leave it there and hug your knees in towards your chest with your blanket. You're not going to be here long, but just a little extra pressure in that abdomen. Good. And then set your left foot to the floor. Now, if you have a blanket and you want to use it, you're going to have to maybe look for a second. I'm going to pull it so that the bulk of it is towards my chest, but I'm going to make a tiny little roll so that I can hug my right knee in towards my chest, and I've got a little roll in there, and then I'm going to extend the left leg long. Now this, I don't need a big blanket, so again, if you have a hand towel or just a regular towel, you can notice, so I had to turn it, otherwise the roll would be too big. I want it to be above that right frontal hip point, but below my rib cage on my right side. And if you don't have a blanket, no big deal. So notice your inhale. And now really exhale, and as you exhale, you can deepen by drawing your thigh in towards you. And as you let the belly and the breath empty out, there's more space to create a little more compression in there. Again, if it's uncomfortable, please take it out. It's not necessary here. It's just totally optional to have the blanket. Where can you soften? Where can you relax? For me, it's my shoulders, probably creating a little too much tension in my arms, so maybe relax your arms. You're holding the leg in, but you don't need a death grip on there. Good, now slide your left leg in. Put your left foot on the floor. Take your right ankle. You can just let the blanket stay there. We're not going to really use it here in this moment. Right ankle hooks above left knee. And then you're going to let your legs come over for a thigh stretch over to the right. Let your arms open up into a T shape. And you might notice some good sensation happening along that right side of the abdomen. You might even feel it into the thigh. So when we breathe in and out of the nose versus the mouth, there's a narrower passageway. And what that can do is begin to lengthen the breath. That's why in yoga we breathe in and out of the nose. Right? The mouth is bigger than the nasal passages. So smaller airway equals slowing down breath, and slowing down breath equals calming the nervous system. Now let your right ankle unhook, so it's just down on the ground. Bring your knees up to center, and we're going to go into the second side. Okay, second side. Just let the knees go over to the left, and if you want to, you can hook the right ankle above. Now the right side is where we had the compression, but I didn't want to go right into a super deep stretch, so we went to the right side first. And now this is the side that was compressed a moment ago with the blanket that we're now allowing to be an extension. want you to continue to focus on that exhale. So inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. When you think the breath is empty, see if you can let a little more out. Now, if that agitates you, to kind of work with that exhale, just breathe normal and focus on just breathing in for a count of, let's say, 3 or 4, and an exhale for a count of 3 or 4. Try to have it just be even. Good. Now inhale, bring it back up. Leave the left ankle hooked. If you want to, you can leave the blanket there. Pick your right foot up off the floor. And now for me, I don't really feel it a ton in this movement, but I'm going to just give it a little more roll, because now it's going to be a little more on that left side, of course, because the left leg is closer to you than the right. And it's really just feedback. It's on this movement. You're probably not going to feel a super deep sensation or pressure. And again, if it's uncomfortable, you just make the executive decision, take it out. And you don't even need to have it. But what's nice is when you exhale, you can kind of feel that blanket dropping in toward you. Flex your top foot. And what's beautiful about just, without over-efforting it, trying a little longer exhale, is that it automatically lengthens your inhale. Now this left side is going to get just a juicy little opening here, because we're going to repeat everything now on the second side, and the left leg's already in, so we're going to give it a little more compression here. Taking one more breath and thread the eye of the needle. All right, now let go of the clasp. Put the right foot to the floor for a moment. Just pause. I'm going to unwind my roll just a teensy bit. Left thigh is going to come in towards your chest. Oh, this feels so good. Right leg is going to extend long. Draw your chin down. Sometimes the chin lifts a lot. We get on the back. That really activates the mind as well. Drop the chin so it's level with the forehead. Lengthen the inseam of your right leg from your inner groin to inner knee to inner ankle. Get longer there. As you exhale, with a softness and an ease, let that left thigh continuously keep coming down towards your chest. You might notice some pulsing. What's your prison? What has its grip on you? Is it self-sabotage? Is it procrastination? Is it wanting something to change and never doing anything about it? Take another breath, breathing in, letting it go. Bend your right knee, place your right foot to the floor. Let go of your left shin. Hook your left ankle above your right knee, and then you're going to make a T or a cactus shape with your arms, and we're going to let the legs go over to the left. Now, if it's too much, brings any pain in your knee, just unhook that top ankle. I want you to lift your low belly up. Lengthen your tailbone to the back of your right knee. Soften your front rib cage in a little bit. Can you soften the rib cage and then yet still feel a sense of expansion across your chest? A lot of you won't need to hook this ankle. You'll feel plenty of stretch with the left foot on the floor just right underneath that knee. Continue to lengthen from your right shoulder across your belly, across your hip, across the front of your quad, all the way down towards your inner right knee. Create more length. And that left leg, if it's hooked over, just very gently lengthen the flesh of the quad forward. If your ankle's hooked, gently unhook it. Keep your feet as wide as your mat. Bring your knees up so your knees knock in, and take an inhale. As you exhale, knees are going to gently drop over to the left. And now again, if you want to, you can hook left ankle above right knee. All these movements we're doing too are really lovely just to help release in the low back. So not only are we helping with anxiety, we're getting some nice openings for the hip flexors, which can really have an effect on our low back. And we're opening the hips too, so that feels good. Take another breath. Lift the pubic bone. Now, if your ankle's hooked, you can leave it hooked. Bring your legs back up. Center your left foot so it's back into the midline of the mat behind your left sit bone. And then I'm going to give just a little bit bigger roll. So thread the eye, the right ankle. If it's not hooked, go ahead. You're going to hook it above the left knee now and pick your left foot up off the floor. Remember, the blanket roll is in the soft tissue of the belly. Flex your top foot. Notice when you consciously take a little bit more time to exhale, that your body may naturally be drawing in a deeper inhale. So anxiety for a lot of us, it really is perseverating in some shape or form over usually something that could happen. It hasn't yet happened. It possibly could happen. Maybe it's happened in the past and we're worried it could happen again. And so if we use even the example for a lot of us, whether you're homeschooling or sending kids off, right, we have a lot of thoughts probably and ideas and anxiousness around what could happen, what will happen, how will it be. And starting just to understand the awareness of what's real and what am I creating in this moment. How could I be actually using my mind to help? Could I create a sense of peace instead of a sense of anxiousness? And our breath is truly the greatest gift. Starting with just observing the breath, but eventually working to where you have a longer exhale to help you then deepen your inhale. Good, and then release your clasp. All right, take that blanket, set it off to the side. Take a moment. Now we're going to do a little rock and roll, which actually it talked about in the book is just a really good movement, as you're moving along the spine. Now if any reason you can't rock and roll, just put some music on and do it old school style. That's just fine. But otherwise, you're going to hold on. You can hold on to the front of the shins, or sometimes I like to wrap around the back of the legs, whichever feels more stable. We aren't going to rock back so that we're taking our feet over our head and compressing into the neck. So we'll Stop to the point, you can let the head tap down, but you're not going to put any pressure. You're going to keep the weight in the upper back, okay? So holding on behind the shins, you're going to inhale, up, exhale, back. Inhale, up, exhale. Now find your breath. Now the fun here, not only besides rocking, because of course that is fun, is can you synchronize your breath? So can you actually, some of us like to rock and roll fast. I encourage you now to slow it down. Exhale, inhale. Wait for the exhale to start going back. Let the breath actually start and then rock. Let the breath actually start and rock. And the hard one is let the breath start inhaling, then lift up. Yeah. Really brings you into the moment. Can't think about too many other things when you're rock and rolling. Whether that's with music or with rocking. Let's do 2 more. Exhale, rock back. Inhale, rock up. 1 more. Exhale, rock back. Inhale, rock up. Okay. We're going to come into a Shiva squat shape. So if you need a block, you're going to sit on a block with one leg like it's almost in a cross-legged position, and the other foot is on the floor. So we call this the Shiva squat. Now, you can do it, of course, without the block where you're just sitting on the heel. And the hands are going to be at the heart. Now, your right elbow, you're not over pushing it, but there's a little resistance of elbow into leg and leg into elbow so that that inner thigh is waking up on the inseam. So we're just going to start a little grounded, and then we're going to really work some of the side body here, because that's another great way to help wake you up and help with anxiety. So make sure your right foot is a little bit more forward so that the ankle is a little more under the knee. Sometimes we bring it in a little closer, but today I want you just to scooch it forward so it's more ankle under knee, okay? So you're going to inhale, push up so that you're actually onto your left shin. Your palms are going to face forward, and again, just a little resistance here. Your toes are angled out, opening up that groin, and then you're going to exhale, sit back. Now you're going to try to slow it down, so I want you to inhale, exhale. See if you can do it for a count of 3 or 4. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Yes, inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2. And really opening up the groins here. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. 1 more. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Good. Now you're going to come up, inhale, so that you're on this shin, and I want you to swivel your left shin so now it's going straight behind you. Extend your right leg out. I want you to turn. You can either flex your foot or you can have the ball of the foot more down. So it's a pretty big stretch to get the whole sole of the foot down towards the floor, but if that's okay, and it also can compress a little bit for some of us in the back of the ankle. So if you need to, I want you just to flex your foot. It's like you're doing a kneeling triangle. Grab the block if you need it, and you're going to reach the right arm forward, and then right hand down to the ground or block, and left arm is going to go up towards the sky. Now hand can also be on shin if you don't have a block. Reach the left arm over your ear. Inhale. And then exhale, I want you to come up, arms parallel to the ground. So you're going to flow. Inhale, reach. Now really try to breathe into that waistline. Exhale, lift. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lift. Once more. Inhale, reach. Exhale, lift. Now this time, inhale, reach, and you're going to take this left hand down, and it may not touch the ground. You could even grab your block if you have one and reach it onto the block. So your hips they're going to come in a little bit, but you're still trying to keep the pelvis open as as you reach the arm. That's where the side body stretch is really going to come. So keep the left outer hip moving back as best it can as you reach your left arm out long. And take one more breath. Good. Now just walk your hands on the ground. They're already there. Turn your right foot. Spin the sole of the foot towards the floor. Hands right underneath the shoulders. Left hand is going to come behind your head. Keep the belly drawing in. Inhale. And exhale, tap your left elbow towards your right wrist. Keep your right arm straight. Inhale, reach it back. So we're just strengthening back body here, waking up the back of the lungs here. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale, push into the right hand. Lift the belly button towards the spine. Exhale. Once more, breathe in. Exhale. Now inhale, reach the left arm out so it's parallel to the floor, palm facing down. And then exhale, you're going to thread it underneath so your left hand is extending towards your right foot. It doesn't need to grab it. The right hand, I like to pop up on the right fingertips, tip my right elbow towards the sky. But if you prefer, and it's okay on your neck, make sure your neck feels safe here. You could bind your right arm, reaching it behind your back for your left thigh. And you begin to start to roll the chest open. Take another breath. Where can you soften a little bit? Release your bound arm. Reach your right hand back to the floor. Push into that right hand. Return your left hand underneath you. So good. Return your right knee underneath you. Tuck both of your toes. If you can, you're going to sit back, broken toe pose. Spread those pinky toes out. Sit up nice and tall. Relax your shoulders out of the ears. Close your eyes. Okay, we'll repeat second side. Gently open your eyes. How's that feel when you just make space, right? There's nothing. You'll have these moments, these glimmers of, oh, that's what peace feels. That's what peace feels like. Or your mind's all over the place and you're like, I can't find any peace. It's all right. It's all right. Baby steps. Remember, you can sit on the block. We're going to repeat all that on the second side. Shiva squat. This is where we start. All right. Hands are at the heart. Now, if you're working with a knee injury, you can't be down, that's okay. Just stay up and just do like a little bend and little up. So you can get just a little flexion. And if that's not happening either, just do the movements with the hands. Don't worry about going all the way down. Okay. We make healing. Yoga is for everybody and every body, okay? All right, so we're going to inhale, lift up. Now make sure, and if you need to adjust here, ankle under knee, inhale. Exhale, sit. Inhale, lift, exhale, down. Now you're trying to bring a one-to-one breath, samavriti. Here we go. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. You can feel how much harder it is. But man, it's like boom, right into the moment. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. One more. Good, you're going to inhale, come up. Open the arms out. Now take your right shin and you're going to swing it so that it's straight behind you. Left leg's going to go long. Arms are going to reach open. I'm going to flex my foot. If you prefer to have the sole of the foot down, It's okay. Inhale here. Reach forward. The hip crease. So we aren't hinging from the rib cage. The rib cage is staying long. It's the hip crease. You're hinging from the hip crease. Do you feel that difference? When I do here, I actually don't feel anything in my hamstring. Hip crease is going back. Groins are going back. Outer left seat is coming under. Arm is reaching up. Toes are pointing straight towards the sky. Top arm, turn the palm straight forward. Palm's now going to face down. Take an inhale. Push, drive from your right hip down into the right knee, right shin. Exhale, bring it up. Inhale. Remember the slow 1 to 1? Exhale, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 3. I just want to stay there and just hang out, okay? And you can. You're at home. You're like, I don't want to flow. I just want to stay right. Oh, right there. That's the spot. It's like a dog. Yep, that's the spot. Inhale. One more. Bringing it up. Exhale. Good. If you want to linger for a moment, you just hang out there. All right. And now you're going to sweep this top hand now. Remember, if you need the block or you want the block, it doesn't even need to touch the ground, but it does actually kind of feel good that it doesn't have to work so hard. So here we can get into the quadratus lumborum through the back side of the posterior chain of the body here a little bit more. You're going to feel this through your intercostal muscles, which when we have anxiety, definitely want to open those guys up. The serratus. Good. Now we're going to scooch that block out of the way. Keep the hands on the ground. Just walk them to center. Now you're turning your left foot so the sole of the foot is on the floor and the toes are pointing forward. They're in the same direction as your fingers. Take your right hand. Draw the belly in. Right hand behind the head. Inhale. If you add that sound effect, it actually maximizes the pose. Exhale. Right elbow towards left wrist. Keep your left arm straight. It's really easy to bend it here. Keep it straight. Inhale. Remind yourself you are strong. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale one more time. Exhale. Now the arm's going to reach out so it's parallel to the floor. Breathe in and thread it under. Exhale. Right side of the head or cheek down to the mat. Left fingertips, you can pop up here on the fingertips, or you can bind the arm. Wrap it behind your back for your right thigh. Now when you're in a twist, the exhale is where you're actually deepening your twist. And when the breath is actually empty, if you can feel that pause there's a moment where you're a little more empty, you can actually maybe deepen it just on its own, and your body will deepen it a little more naturally. So the inhale, don't need to move on the twist. Just take a breath wherever your body is in that moment, create some space. And as you exhale, the body will start to ring just all on its own. Release the bound arm. Take your left hand back by your face. Push into that hand. Return your right arm underneath your right shoulder. Left knee is going to come back under left hip. Broken toe pose. Both toes tuck under. Good. This time turn your palms up on your thighs. Let yourself just have space. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Good. Slowly come forward. You're going to lift up, forward fold, I'm going to just stay facing this way, but you're probably at the top of your mat. You can have your block if you want it or need it under your hands. If you want to take ragdoll, you can. Bending the elbows. If you want to interlace your hands behind your back for a shoulder opener. All of those are excellent options. Keep your right leg straight, bend your left knee, and take 2 breaths here, getting into the IT band a little bit more. Notice if you're rocked all the way back in those heels and your sitting bones, turn this side so you can see, my sitting bones are way back behind. So bring the weight a little more forward, even though the knee is bent, so that the center of your greater trochanter, center of knee, and center of ankle are all in one line. And then switch. Both legs straight, breathe in. Soft bend in the knees, exhale, forward fold. Let's roll it up, friends, all the way up to stand. Shoulders back. Relax out of the ears. Good. Okay, we're going to do a balance pose, which is actually very good for anxiety. Again, it really brings you into the moment, and it has a great deal of concentration that's needed to actually hold the pose. Now, it's not going to be a challenging pose, but it will be a balance pose. Okay, so you're going to start standing on your right foot. Start standing on your right foot. And all you're going to do, weight into that right foot, pick your left leg up as you exhale. Yep. Set the left foot down, breathe in. Exhale, pick right leg up. Inhale. Now remember your 1-to-1 breath. Exhale, 3, 2, 1, inhale. So the foot doesn't just drop down. Exhale, other side. And I've got my hand on my abdomen. You just have them by your sides. The exhale is the lifting, right? The power, it's drawing into you, and then slowly lowering it back down. One more time, exhale. Set the right foot down. Draw your left leg in towards your chest. Do it one more time. Exhale, lift. And then hold on to the front of that shin. Get your spine nice and tall. Find a spot to focus on, a drishti, your drishti, something that doesn't move. Rotate the outer left hip down. Firm the right hip into the midline just a little bit. And then let's take a tree pose. Now your left foot, you can bring it down to the floor. You can have it on your calf, or you can bring it up high onto the inner thigh. Again, reaffirm wherever it is. Reaffirm the outer right hip in. And my foot, the whole sole of the foot, touching either calf or inner thigh. And so if you're wobbling, I'm wobbling a little bit today. If you're wobbling all over, that's okay. Can you feel like your breath is staying steady even though the body is wobbling, right? You actually can have both, and that is our outer world. I don't know what's going on. I don't have certainty. Inner world, breath. Yes. Take a nice deep breath here. Breathe in. Open the knee out to the side a little more if you can. Breathe out. And slowly lower that foot, or just fall out and have a good time with it. Don't get bent out of shape about it. We all have days that we're solid. We all have days we're not. All right. Left leg's your standing leg. Right leg turns out. It's our attitude about it, right? Put your foot either down on the floor, up to the calf, or to the inner thigh. It's so good to watch how you respond, right? Do you get frustrated with yourself? Breathing in. Now the more you firm that outer left hip to the midline, you're going to feel the pressure of your inner thigh and your foot meeting, and resist with your foot. Push back with that foot. There's actually a tremendous amount of stability that comes from those two actions working together. with balance. Good. Take another breath. And let it all come down. Very good, yogis. All right. Feet down to the floor. Inhale, reach your arms up towards the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, step your left foot back into a lunge. Left foot back into a lunge. Take your back knee down to the ground and then heel toe your right foot over so that both hands are on the inside of your front leg. Now, I some days really like the block because I actually feel like I get more stretch through the hip here. So I want you to be up tall. In fact, if you want to walk your hands up, you sure can. But I want you to stay here for just a moment. Hug your feet together. Rotate the outer right hip. Just feel like it's kind of releasing towards the floor. Tone right where the hamstring meets the glute. Just tone right there. You're not gripping, but just tone. Shoulders back and down. And allow the front of the left hip to release. Remember where that blanket was? It's that spot, okay? Good. Now tuck your back toes. Lift the knee. Now you're going to take your block, and I'm going to start with it on the highest setting. I may go to the forearms and then I'll drop it, but I'm going to put it so that, and you're going to have to kind of feel around here. Oh. I need a moment. You have to. You find some. I got a lot of spots that I can't quite articulate them all. Find a spot on the quad, especially with a cork block, that something's happening here. Now, you could lower your block, okay, and come down onto your forearms, middle height. My front foot, if I wanted to, you could turn the right foot out, rotate to the outer edge of the foot. Now, you can play around with this block. So you can roll to the outer edge. You get a little to the ID, man. Equally uncomfortable. And you can roll more to the medial part, the inner part, so you can just move on purpose. Don't just move to distract yourself, but if you're just trying to find a spot, and then when you've got something to work with, you just can stay there. If I want a little more side body, an option, left forearm is down. Right arm can reach on the diagonal away from your right knee. It's your own deep tip shoe massage for your quads. Okay, we got to get ourselves up, friends. Lift that back leg up so that you can get it off the block. Drop your left knee down. Swivel your left shin so it's on a 45-degree angle. Oh, and sweep that right leg out into a variation of side plank with the right leg elevated. Bend the right knee, reach back and catch your foot. Kick your foot back and open your heart. So this is really our first kind of heart opening movement, because if we do have anxiety, back bending can be a bit much. But we've just done a great deal of grounding, and this isn't a super, super intense one. You can control, right? You can back off how much you're kicking back, but just a nice chest opener to begin to deepen the breath. So the thighs going back, and to balance that, the tailbone, you can kind of see that, is going forward. Spread the toes, hug that left shoulder blade in and down the spine. And then release your leg. Inhale. Exhale, set the sole of the right foot to the floor. Reach your right arm over. Just big side body stretch again. And set the right hand down, right knee down. My grandpa used to say, how about them apples? Like, that's how I feel about what just happened there. Left foot to the outside of the hand. I miss you, Grandpa. Okay. All right, so we're starting with the psoas stretch. I'm going to grab my block. Didn't get to the strap today. Strap's not happening. It's okay. Lift your chest. On that last movement you just did where you grabbed the foot, if you can't grab the foot, that would be a movement you could use the strap on the second side. Really paying attention to the breathing here. All right, back off your lunge, hands down. Either block middle or highest height, so it's probably going to have to be on the highest height. If you're on the hands, if you're on the forearms, probably going to be middle. All right. So we're going to start to lower the pelvis down. Make sure your front knee is above your ankle, your foot's not behind your knee. And then you may have to move a little bit forward, a little bit back, like find a spot on your quad. Where you can feel, I'm laughing because I'm like, where do I not feel something? But again, if you have a foam block, it won't be perhaps as intense. That's okay. Hopefully you're still finding something that keeps you entertained for a couple of breaths. You can drop to the forearms. You can turn this front foot out 45 degrees. Just make sure your knee is going in the same direction as your toes. You can come to the outer edge of the foot. And if you want to, left arm, is going to reach on the diagonal as your right forearm is down. Keep hugging that back shin in. It's easy for it to kind of get lazy. Now, if you roll a little more to the outer edge, that's fine. It will come out a little bit, but if you're more the center of it, keep that back shin hugging in. You're going to notice it's very hard to let go here in that right leg. You're going to just do your best. It's intense. It's like flight delayed, late to a presentation intense, right? Stuck in traffic tense. What's your tense? Like, you're like, where do I begin? But we get to practice shapes, working in the shape. Walk the left hand back, walk the right hand back. Tuck the back toes. Make sure you lift the knee up so you can get that block out. Set the knee down. We get to work with the shapes. Right shin, you're going to swivel it off. Left leg, side plank variation. Get to play with like real things that show up on the mat, just like they do in your life, and start to become an observer of them. And hopefully with a little bit less judgment, with a little more kindness, with a little bit more compassion. Hug that right shoulder blade. It's going towards your spine. It's also going down the back. Your left thigh, to the degree that you want to open it up. Remember, your strap could be here. Left thigh back, tailbone forward. Nice, yogis. And set it down. So sometimes I do meditation. Let's come down to seated. Sometimes I do it before Shavasana. Today we are going to do it before Shavasana, but other days I do it after Shavasana. If you're practicing at home, you could pause this. You could take a few minutes in Shavasana and then do this after, if you'd prefer that. So I want you to find some height to sit on. Unless you have a chair, you could sit on a chair, feet flat on the floor. I don't recommend, just most people, like vast majority, very few people can sit in a way that their hip crease, this part, is in line or lower than the knees. And so if they're higher, just go ahead and feel your hip flexors. Like they tighten up like a, I don't know, somebody give me a word, I don't know what, but really tight. And then if I get them down, like, oh my gosh, you feel that? So that is attached to your back. So why does my back hurt when I sit for meditation? That's why. You've got to get height. You might need 2 blankets, okay? So find a nice, easy seat. Close your eyes. going to start with a one-to-one breath. So I want you to inhale, 3, 2, 1, and exhale, 3, 2, 1. Keep going. Exhale. Good. Now if you like, I'm going to add in the mantra So Hum. Very calming mantra. So as you inhale, you say So. As you exhale, you say Hum. You don't have to worry so much now trying to control the breath. You're just watching the breath. When you inhale, you're saying So. When you exhale, you're saying Hum, H-U-M. As you're saying the mantra, I want you to imagine that you're sitting by a pond. As you're watching the pond, you are observing the stillness of the water. The moment you begin to feel a thought come in, it's almost as though you could feel a pebble in your hand, thinking about how the pebble would ripple the water, and you're going to just hold the pebble as you think a thought, just holding your pebble, bringing your awareness back to the mantra and the image of just this calm pond water. You may even feel like there's a stone actually in your hand, even though there isn't. So you could give it just a little squeeze as you notice a thought, and then bring your awareness back to the mantra and gazing at the still pond. meditation. If you like, we're going to take a few minutes in Shavasana. So begin to roll down onto your back. Grab any props that might make it more comfortable. Stay here for a few minutes. When it's time to come out, you will hear me ring a soft bell. You can continue in Shavasana using this meditation, focusing on the mantra, so, hum. So, hum. So, hum. Start to draw your awareness back to the wonderment of the fact that you can begin to change your breathing. Start to deepen the breath. As you do, feel energy starting to move more fully throughout the body as you wiggle your fingers and your toes. Let's stretch our arms up and over our head. Take a big full body stretch, breathing in. Bend the knees, connect your feet to the earth. Exhale, roll to your right side, support your head with your right arm. If you're practicing this later, listening to the recording, roll to your left side if it's evening. Gently use your hands to bring your body back upright, keeping the eyes closed or the gaze soft at the floor, palms together in at your heart space. Thank yourself for coming to the mat, for taking this time to bring more attention to your own awareness and empowering yourself to understand that you have choices in the moment. Remembering what what Rumi said, why do we stay in prison when the door is wide open? Beginning to understand how we can use our mind to collaborate with us, to have our own back, to feel like when we step on this mat that we are coming home to ourselves. And also giving ourselves grace that this is a practice, this will take time. Drawing thumbs up to third eye. From my heart to yours, yogis, thank you so much for joining me for these practices. As always, it was my pleasure to guide you. Namaste. Oh, thank you. Thank you, family. Thank you, yogis, for being here. I hope this was helpful, and if you ever have requests, you know I'm always here for you. We are family. So put those in the comments below. Remember, I am uploading, all these onto YouTube, trying to get access for people who aren't on social media, good for them, and can see and utilize these practices. So please share them. Like, that is the best gift. Share this practice on your page. Share it. Share the YouTube once it gets up. I try to do at least one a day. So go back, subscribe to that, like it. That sounds so cheesy, but that's what you do, and that's what you got to do. And then it'll tell you every time a new class is posted. So I'm working on creating some new content for the end of August, some shorter practices that are like 20, 30 minutes. So, and those will be on there. They won't be on Facebook. So if you subscribe, you'll know when they come out. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Go have a marvelous first day, if that's where you're at, for school and your peeps. Do your little, am I happy? I don't even know dance, but they're off to school. So thank you, friends. Have an amazing week, and I will see you Monday for Flow.